Yes, guys, it's another episode of Fight Talk Live. It's Danny Glover. It's October Red. It's Base the Kid. You know where it is. How you doing this evening, guys?
Yeah, man, what's happening? All good, all good. October, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been an interesting weekend, hasn't it? And well done on the live. I've seen the figures. I've seen it, man. It's working. So congratulations on another successful live.
Hopefully, we have you in the next one.
We got
If you're
sorted.
not on location, of course.
Yeah, probably to end or towards the ending of the year. It's going to be here at home.
I hear that. I hear that.
Right, Danny, well, look, set us off because I know you've got everything lined up and ready to go from last weekend.
Yes. So last weekend just gone. So I say, ladies and gentlemen, inside we had a clash of shows. One of a couple coming up this month, but yes, we had. First of all, we'll start with the um, I think we should start with the BBC show. So, Ben Shalom, boxer, newly signed to the BBC. The undercard portion was on BBC iPlayer. Um, I think is only right. We start with the main event. I think that's what everyone they want to get to first and foremost. And we had Jamie TKV. Sorry, we had Fraser Clark versus Jamie TKV for the British heavyweight title. Um, First one headlining for the first time in 20 years on the BBC.
24.
And yeah, I think I feel well. Various people have various opinions on the fight. Some say it delivered. Some say it was, some have other opinions. So what I would like to know from yourselves in the chat, but also most importantly from Base in October, your thoughts on it. So we'll go with uh, October Red.
I think he's going to go to base. Yeah. All right then. Let's have a look. What do you want, guys? Do you want some foreplay, or do you want me to just get into the fight?
Um, you
It's
can
up to you. I can give you
you
a
can
bit of
get into the
foreplay if you
foreplay
want
because you was on location
for the weigh-in.
for the build up and the weigh in. So yeah,
Yeah, I didn't go to the press conference. I went to the weigh-in. Got to see, obviously, the BBC production. I think they had some horrific sound issues. I did watch the press conference in arrears, and they had some horrific sound issues for the presser. But I do believe the weigh-in went better. We did see the continuation of Fraser Clark and TKV, mouthing off at each other. Probably more Clark this time was the aggressor. TKV seemed to calm down, tone it down when it comes to the back and forth towards this end. Had a more calm approach. He looked relaxed, where Fraser was sort of like marching up and down, speaking to people because it was a public weigh-in. So he was speaking to people, taking pictures with people, doing various interviews, etc. And obviously, that's when I got to speak to him. And those of you that watched the interview knew how that went. I did say that he was a bit wound up. He was just saying that's all part of the theatrics for the press conference, etc. But then we get into the fight. If you guys know the way that Jamie Takivi fights, and you sort of understand that if he gains control, the fight's going to go a certain way, then the fight wouldn't have been a surprise to you how it went. I think Jamie's more of a inside grappler kind of fight. We've heard several times that he comes from a wrestling family. He does like to do the inside work. However, he has also got a very good jab. To me, the jab didn't exist for either of them until TKV started to get comfortable after the first few rounds. But I think that may have been due to Fraser came out too quick, came out probably looking to get the knockout. There's a lot of pressure on him. He's come off, fair enough, he got the win with Tete, but he's come off a devastating loss with Fabio, who is Takivi's stablemate. It's his home area. It's his home fight. There's a lot of pressure there going into it. There's a lot of questions still, and I think the pressure was there. So he came out really quick. And even I've spoke to TKV in the DMs privately, and he said Fraser came out really sharp to start off with, quicker than I expected him to. So it took me a little bit to settle into a rhythm and then to be able to start to control the fight. Um, Jab was non existent for Fraser, which is strange because he does have a jab. TKV's jab started to come out later on. That's what I saw. But I think it just ended up being a bit of a to and a fro inside work. But I saw like blood coming from Fraser's mouth, and I thought, oh dear, has Jamie opened back up that jaw? That same, the same damage that Fabio Wardley did to him, because I think Jamie hit him with a shot. I can't remember if I think it might have been an overhand right, but you started to see Fraser like go back, like he didn't like it. The shot, his mouth was already bleeding, but there was a shot there that he didn't like, and I think it might have been the overhand. You guys can correct me because I was in between watching that and being live at obviously the Birmingham show. He faded. He looked tired. They both looked tired, but Fraser's mouth was as open as it could be. But what was scary for me, and like I said, you guys can probably go to the exact round, is Fraser getting walked back to his corner like a child. Fraser clearly not knowing where he is. The fact that I thought he should have been pulled out earlier then obviously he shouldn't have gone the full 12 rounds. That when I saw his coach like looking at him, screaming at him, and Fraser's like looking around, not listening, looking all dazed, combobulated, whatever you want to call it, concussed, wasn't there. His coach should have just said, you know what, live to fight another day, but he let him go out into the final round, which I thought was horrific. Don't get me wrong, Fraser did show some fighting because that's all he had left in him was the fight. But yeah, we all know how it ended up. I think I won't comment on the scorecards. I'll leave that to you guys as experts. But I thought it was more of a clear win rather than a split. It just looked like Jamie was the more dominant of the two. But that's my opinion. Really happy for Jamie. You can see how happy he is. Commiserations to Fraser. Yeah, heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, base. What's your take?
Yeah, it was
There you go then.
an interesting fight, I suppose. The BBC first show. I didn't get a chance to see all of it. I saw all of that fight, but I mean all of the actual
Yeah.
show itself. As I was kind of flicking between the two broadcasts as much as I could. Um, I think that Boxer, something wasn't quite clicking. Maybe like the sound issues was one thing. There's a few other little bits and pieces that just weren't really, I guess, right for the broadcast. But it was the first one, so you can always kind of give it grace. Although they should by now kind of have those kinks and stuff worked out. Although I remember Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren saying something about BBC were going around asking for production help and stuff. So maybe they've got a new crew. They're just still learning the ropes. But in terms of the fight itself, yeah, Frazier came out really quick, really aggressive. I had initially picked him to
Yeah.
stop TKV, not necessarily because I thought TKV was bad or anything. I just thought that Frazier might just have a little bit of extra experience, a little bit of extra like craft in there, and it looked like he was trying to be more aggressive and hit harder. He seemed to say that he's kind of found his professional style, and that's kind of what it looked like in those first couple of rounds, really sort of dig into the body. And it looked like there was a couple moments where TKV felt those body shots like, oh, okay, this is, I wasn't expecting this from so early. So I thought that kind of set a bit of a tone for the fight. But then ultimately, after about 3 or 4 rounds of doing some good work and like using his considerable leg muscles to try and push TKV back towards the ropes and sort of lean on him, just inexplicably gas tank went, and from there it was basically just swimming upstream for the rest of the fight. He kept trying to spam the lead uppercut from both the lead and the backhand position, which I understood why he tried to do it a couple times, but it's almost like he was just sort of overselling the same thing, and then it just became like a law of diminishing returns. TKV was doing really well on the inside, being very messy at times. Loads of forearms, loads of framing, sometimes using the palm of the glove to try and get a bit of separation, being a bit dirty, but investing some good work to the body. Frazier couldn't handle it. Like I said, Gas Tank just kind of fell off a cliff, and ultimately rounds 9, 10. He looked bad from round 4. 9, 10, he looked like a shell of himself. Round 11 looked like shockingly bad from all sorts of perspective. And round 10, round 12, so I don't even know how he managed to survive that, if I'm honest. But he seemed to find some life from somewhere. But at the end of the day, it was a clear victory for TKV. Congratulations to him. North London, stand up. Tottenham guy did what he needed to do. And he proved a lot of the detractors wrong. I guess he tried to get some credit put on his name, although you'll find various people in the media who didn't want to give him any credit. Less said about them, the better. And ultimately, he's now achieved something that, Frazier hasn't in 3 attempts. And it's also the second, I believe it's the second belt he's won as a pro, to Frazier's 0, if I remember correctly. So I guess Frazier got some soul searching to do. Is this really what he still wants to do? Who knows? But congrats to TKV. Got to big him up, and this can only boost him from here.
Yeah. So for the fight, watch the build up, the interview with October Red. Very interesting interview with Frazier Clark. He said that the weigh-in was just foreplay. So it was interesting you mentioned that word at the beginning there. So he said that he wasn't rattled by it. It was just foreplay. He took off his robe in the ring. I even mentioned, I said, wow, he's looking dieseled, man. He's looking very muscular. So he's obviously been at the Loughborough with he ain't been at Loughborough?
Nah, they left there ages ago. They're in some gym now, closer to where he lives.
Okay, well, he's training with Angel Fernandez, who likes, that sort of weight training regime. So he was looking diesel. I thought, oh, looks a bit dangerous here. I actually picked Frazier Clark to win on points, even though I wanted TKV to win. And I thought Frazier, with both of them known to, in my opinion, to do jab and grab style, I thought that with Frazier's Olympic pedigree, he might, and with the heavier weight, that he might just take over a bit and get off down the stretch. But what I should have done is considered that and remembered that Jamie TKV is used to probably grappling with big guys, wrestling. So as Frazier did, as you guys said, everyone could see, he came out fast out the blocks, uppercuts and hooks downstairs, good uppercuts in the beginning, which was that sort of catching Jamie. I noticed he felt a few of them backing up, pushed him to the ropes, which I didn't expect. As you said, there was a neglect of jab from both of them. There was working the overhooks, the underhooks, trying to get body control of each other. And after round 3, I noticed that Frazier Clark was feeling the pace, and I was like, oh, I remember they were both accusing each other, calling each other, you're going to start blowing after 3 rounds. What, you're going to start, gassing after 3 rounds, sorry, should I say, homelessly. And then round 4, I gave Frazier the first 4 rounds, and then afterwards, Jamie TKV, in my opinion, swept the next 8. I know he early doors as well, Jamie TKV, unfortunately, got a point taken off for a low blow, which I thought was a bit harsh. I was waiting for the replay to show the low blow, and they never actually showed it. So I don't know how, credible that was from the referee, or if they just realized, I don't know, maybe tried to clean up the ref's image there. But the stage was set for Frazier Clark. He won a medal on the BBC during the Olympics. He's got the amateur pedigree, the diesel physique. They need someone as a poster child, just like when um, what's their names? Hennessy Sports was on Channel 5.
Mm.
So, but TKV, he started working the body, left hooks. They started finding a home upstairs. I know the commentator Ronald McIntosh had quite a few
He
puns.
was insane.
Yeah. But they always say in it, a fat person could always cuss a fat person the best in it. So a bald
Beats,
person,
sorry, one second. Beats, it's in your Twitter DM. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
yeah, or a bald person could always find the best bald jokes. And Ron McIntosh had some loads of puns going on over there about Frazier being bald and the punches landing, etc., etc. Round 11, I said that at the time. I thought that that could have been scored a 10-8 round. I know that it's a championship fight and it was only one more round to go afterwards, but I personally think the corner should have pulled him out.
Yeah.
He was trying to bounce on his feet for a couple of the rounds, um 9, 10, 11, trying to find some blood flow into his legs, but it just wasn't there. He was on rubbery. It started getting very dangerous in there for him, the way he was shipping lefts and rights. um Neurologically, it's not going to be good for him. And Jamie TKV even said that some kind of injury happened to Frazier, but he didn't want to get into it. He said maybe Frazier will talk about it afterwards. Um, and then, yeah, I had it 115, 112. I know one of the judges did. I don't know how. Steve Gray had it the other way. He's going to have to. Surely he needs investigating, but boy, he probably won't because the right man won at the end of the day. And I believe that TKV has won the British heavyweight title in the least amount of fights. I think it was. I think
Oh, he's only had 9, hasn't he, or
yeah,
something?
he's
Is
done
that his
yeah,
10th fight?
That was his 10th.
Yeah.
yeah, he's done he's got some he's done some record because he was going to do it in the last one, which he felt that he was defending his belt this time around anyway, as he got hard done by. But he still managed to do it one fight later, and I believe he's got the record for that as well. Um,
Yeah, good
so
point.
yeah, what we've said our opinions on the fight. Um, Base, where do both men go from here, in your opinion? What next?
Not sure, to be honest. I mean, TKV's talking about a potential Dave Allen fight, which is the fight they wanted before the call got made for the British. So I could see that fight. I think that's a fight that both guys believe they could win quite conclusively. So it's definitely a fight TKV would have. I don't think he's going to worry about any sides of the street talk or I'm a BBC fighter now rather than I'm a DAZN fighter or anything like that. I'm sure they'll just pay the good money. He said that as long as there's a good fights around, they'll keep he'll defend the title. Otherwise, he'll look for other opportunities. As for Frazier, don't know. Whatever he chooses to do, good luck to him.
Hmm.
Mm.
October. So I've seen some people have said that they feel that Frazier needs to knock it on the head. Some say, including TKV, says that Frazier should carry on and should not be disheartened by the result. What's your take on how the media's reacted to Frazier Clark losing at the third attempt for the British title, and where do you think he should go? And TKV also.
TKV, I'll start with the winner. Like I said, I'm extremely happy for him because I've been there when he's always treated like he's not really worth much. If I can say that, I've been there. I spoke to him. We did an Instagram live before he had his debut, before he started fighting with Boxer, and he was sort of like the guy that was there, that was the heavyweight to just fill a gap. He wasn't really treated, in my opinion, with any real respect.
Hmm.
So even though it's Fraser, and Fraser's cool and that, when you just believe that someone should like really get his accolades for winning, I've got to say bless up to Jamie TKV, because he's a little bit of a dark horse. We saw the way that he got in there with Adelaide. We saw that he was winning the fight until he got obviously KO'd. but we know that he's skilled enough. So what I'd like to see him do, and obviously it's up to him, is to go and get the most amount of money that he can for whatever fight that suits him. Obviously, it's the Dave Allen fight that will bring the money. So I guess he's going to go for that, because why shouldn't he? He's been the underdog for too long. So let him, as I said to him, mate, hey, while the sun shines, go and make your money. I think he should fight Solomon Dakers as well. That's if he doesn't fight Allen, or if he fights Allen and still wants to go at it, because Dakers come off a win with Serenko. So I think when it comes to the maths, and not box rec maths, just maths, I think Dakers is in a good position to fight him. Them two have got history. They've had a bit of online warring. They've fought in the amateurs. There's something there for that as well. But I do appreciate when TKV saying, you know what, Alan, because that's the dole fight, isn't it? Whoever's going to house it, whatever. I just hope Jamie gets paid, because he deserves his nice paydays in the sun. In regards to Fraser, up to him. I didn't like the look of what happened. I didn't like the fact that I thought his coach was dangerous, letting him go back out. Because, like you said, I spoke to Solomon yesterday, and we was having a chat before we started the interview when he was training, and he was saying that when you're at that stage in the fight, all your fluids have gone out your system. So you're extremely dehydrated at that point. And you're not really reloading the amount of liquids that you're sweating out your system from the excess work, the punching, everything. And he goes, it's dangerous at that point when you're that dehydrated to still be getting hit in the head. So that's from a fighter that's been in the ring and has been knocked out himself, or has gone the distance in fights. So he says all of those things, especially dehydration, that you have to look into. So I was saying, I wonder if his medical advisor, when he had his jaw wired up or whatever surgery he said, I wonder if he was advised that if this goes again, you can't, that's it for you. But those are conversations that I could probably have with Fraser or somebody else. He'll probably jump on TalkSport first and give them the scoop. He's going to do what he wants. I just hope he looks after his health. We've seen Chris Eubank Jr. on having an operation or whatever he was having done today under anaesthetic and whatever. Serious sport, and you've got to look after your health first. But sometimes when it comes to money, health, you're just going to take that risk, aren't you?
Yeah, I understand. I understand totally. Yeah, I'll start with Fraser first. Yeah, he'll have to have a long think about what he wants to do. I'm not going to tell him, oh yeah, you need to retire and forget it. But I do think that he does have a life after boxing, in boxing. He's always been a big, massive fan of boxing. He was, most people who didn't know him through boxing would have known him doing security at boxing shows, ringside, because he likes boxing so much. He likes to be around it. He can talk well. He does know his stuff. So I'm sure there would be punditry work for him if he does decide to call it a day. If he's thinking that maybe trying to get this British title might not happen, but also he might just want to try and go down the Commonwealth route, since he was a Commonwealth amateur champion. He could then win it as a professional. I guess that is an option. But yes, as Solomon Dacre said, when you're in the corner, you only just have sips of water. It's not advisable to take gulps, because you'll get a stitch. Two, you can get punched in the gut, and then you start
vomiting.
Yeah, exactly. It starts coming up, and you don't want none of that. So when you are dehydrated and you're taking shots, it will do neurological damage. And one thing I did notice is during your interview with Fraser, I remember there was a point where he had two drinks. He had a cup of tea or coffee, and he had like this, I don't know if it was a fizzy drink or water. And the way he was trying to drink the water, it looked like he was having difficulty.
Serious?
Yeah, to get to the straw. It looked like I was thinking he looks a bit, I don't know if he's kind of, that's signs of punchiness.
Is it?
Yeah. The way he was trying to,
because he had the mic in one hand, and he was trying to balance.
I don't know. I couldn't.
Yeah,
The
because he
way
did
he
have a mic in one hand. And he's trying to get like the straw to sip the drink.
yeah, it just didn't look good though,
Oh
optic
right,
wise,
I didn't clock that. I was too
But
busy arguing.
yeah, but and then with Jamie TKV, as you said, he's been a dark horse. He's
Yeah.
been thrown in these matches, um, in 50-50 fights a few times now. Like on paper, they've been 50-50. But
Mm.
even when you're talking about when even with Michael Webster, Frank Ignatius, and what he does, he just wears you down and breaks you down, and takes over with his will and his grit. Yes, he's not a big puncher, but he has got good technique and torque in his shots. And for a big guy, he does whip them in.
Yeah, he
So
does.
yeah, so he's done very well, and he was the underdog in this fight. He had to endure some, I would call it, cultural stereotypes, which he came back well from, because he was being accused of being a thug and
Oh,
throwing up gang
not
signs.
just him.
Yeah, throwing up gang signs and being a thug.
Not just
Um,
him, no, any. I remember I got accused of having a miserable face, screw face, this, that, blah. As
yeah,
well, so you weren't
yeah,
on his own there.
yeah. Fraser. I don't know. I don't know if he's got an issue, if he's got little complexes where you might think people look a certain way or behave a certain way due to his opinions or people he may have knocked about with growing up. Um, but he does need to reconsider how he comes across, because it does look a bit Uncle Ruckusy, I must say. So he does need to be careful of that. But TKV, well done to him. He was on Talksport. He was happy as Larry, showing his black eye. But that's the,
No, yeah.
the marks of war, and he's very happy, and I'm so happy for him. And yeah, big up Tottenham, the North London Massive, and yeah, TMD. So then also, did any of you manage to catch any of the undercard at all on the BBC?
I did watch the Kadua fight. I watched it back
Highlights.
yesterday. I think I watched the entire thing. I wanted to actually see how. Obviously, it was a big night for Tunde as well as Joel Kadua, especially considering everything that's kind of gone on over the last
Yeah.
week or so, last week and a bit. Well, to be honest, probably the last couple of years.
I'm gonna see if I'm still blocked. Yes.
And do you know it was? I don't want to say this because it's gonna sound like I'm actually trying to compare or that I'm giving him the same credence, but I was looking at Kadura in the fight, and all I could see was okay. Let me not say that. Like he definitely has influence of that Mayweather gym, even though he's not from there. He's probably never boxed in there. But I was just looking at his style, the way he was trying to sort of move around the ring
Mm.
in the first couple of rounds mainly, and I could just see that okay, that's definitely who he's kind of been tailored after. Um, Initially, I was concerned by the fact that he was going for, he was looking to do that Philly show with a guy that's taller than him. Probably, maybe he was a little bit shorter in terms of his actual reach and that, but in terms of height and everything, he's taller, and that's one thing. You're not supposed to Philly show with someone that's, someone that's actually taller than you. You're supposed to be the taller fighter to do something like that. But he was very good at body punching. He kind of had a bit of he reminded me a little bit of how Shakur Stevenson's been sort of working to the body recently in his fights, and I think that for him is tactical because the body gives less resistance than the head does, and with the brittle hands, it probably is easier to put in hard shots to the body than it is to the head. So I felt like that's what he was doing a lot in the fight, and he did. He gave some really good some good counters. He managed to sort of slip and ride some stuff. He did take a few punches a bit too clean for my liking, so there's a lot of defensive
Yeah, me
lapses
too.
in there.
Mm.
And with someone that's got an 11-0 record with 2 KOs similar to you, you can maybe get away with those lapses. But if you start moving up the levels with guys, you know, that actually do have that knockout power, the stopping power, you know, you got to be a lot more switched on. But in terms of the fight, like he did well. It was the English title, I believe, for the English welterweight title, and you know I did predict that he would get the victory. So congrats to him. Congrats, I guess, to Tunde and the rest of the team that obviously trained him. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of things that they definitely need to work on in terms of defensively than anything else. But he's a good he's a it was a good performance. The only thing that I'm really worried about is 9-0 or now 10-0 with only 2 KOs. That's not going to stand you in good stead when the level of competition gets harder. It's not to say that you can't outbox people, but the way he fights, clearly by that fight, is he's gonna almost try to be there, slip and counter. That's not always going to help you if you're quote unquote feather fisted and people want to start trying to walk through the shots. And I can see a lot of people that would quite actively walk through his shots and possibly cause issues. So that's, like I said, something they need to work on for the future. But congratulations on the belt, and I hope he gets to defend it a couple of times. I hope he gets on some more shows because you know he's a good lad otherwise. But yeah, just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, my thoughts on that fight. Um, First of all, I'll say Joel Cordua, because I've watched quite a few of his fights, even when he was fighting on like the TM14 stuff as well. Is that he hits harder than his record suggests? It's like what his issue was is that a lot of his early fights, he was fighting these like journeymen where he hits them, they go into survival mode, and he couldn't like finish them off. So as soon as he did finally fight a guy who actually came to win in Lloyd Jermaine, he ended up taking him out quicker than Conor Walker did. Um, and then afterwards, he fought Daniel Francis, who was unbeaten, who was the Southern Area champion, who's my actual friend, actually. And he ended up taking him out in the last round. And that was for the Southern Area and Commonwealth Silver, where he landed an array of uppercuts on him in the final round and took him out. And then even with this one, he landed a lead uppercut which split Bobby Dalton's face like really open underneath, where I was surprised the doctor and that let it go. Luckily, it was under the eye, but it really that was a very
ferret in there.
yeah, it was a proper open like a knife wound the way it went. So Bobby Dalton did well, and his cutman did very well to get that under control. It was really swollen as well, like a golf ball as well with the cut. So that was a bad injury. But yeah, I can see Joel. He does need to tighten up the defense a bit. He gets hit a bit too much for the Philly shell. But his offensive attacks, he's got good stamina. And he's won the Southern Area, Commonwealth Silver, and now English title. So he's going through the traditional route as a welterweight. So it's good to see, with Tunde, he's come back with a win, and maybe he's going to do things differently with Joel. Maybe he's done it trying one way, and now he's trying something else with Joel, and Joel can go through the traditional route, go through English now, maybe defend it, and then go for the British and so forth, and so forth. If that's he's able to do that. But yes, welcome Boxing Beats and Rhymes to the chat.
To the channel, to the panel.
To the channel, to the panel.
What's going on? What's going on?
Same Beats.
You guys talking? Yeah.
So we'll go back a little bit. Your fellow Tottenham TMD man.
Yeah.
TKV. That's Fraser Clark. Your North Star man, them.
Beach, you got interference behind you. It sounds like you're in a storm.
Oh no! It's probably it's the traffic. I don't know how that's picking it up. Is it really bad?
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah, it sounds better now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So yes, give us your review on the fight itself, and also afterwards what you think. What's next for both gentlemen? But first of all, what's your thoughts on the build-up of the fight and the fight itself, please?
Well, you see, Simon Jordan, right? He used to run a franchise, a football club. So he picks up on stuff that a lot of us just want to see boxing. We're boxing fans. So all we're thinking about is the aesthetics of the fight. But when he challenged Ben Shalom, he picked out the lighting was bad. He said the auditorium wasn't filled. And Ben was really, you know what I mean, taken back by that. But it wasn't a great job. They need to improve. The lighting, looking back, the lighting wasn't good. Like where they were doing, like Steve Bunce were talking in the area they were talking, they could have put a lick of paint on there and jazzed it up a little. It was a bit bland. It just looked a bit rough. It looked a bit rough. It did look a bit rough. But I don't think the BBC are really committed to it like that, personally. That's the
Okay.
impression I'm getting.
Yeah.
It was bad promoted as well, because we're talking about a 3,500 arena. That should have been filled easy for a British heavyweight title fight with a bronze medalist. And listen, when Fraser used to do security, he was very popular. Very, very popular. We always used to see him up and down Sky. At that time there, Fraser would have filled the arena probably, or nearer to the time when he was an Olympian. But things have dropped off that bad that he couldn't sell out 3,500.
Mm.
And that's not Fraser. That's the promoter's fault.
Well,
Yeah.
Ben Shalom said he doesn't like jumping in front of cameras and blah blah this and that.
Well, Eddie does it.
Oh, thank God, that's better. Yeah.
Eddie Hearn does it. That's the thing, right? And like Eddie's more successful. Like that. If your job is to be a promoter, that means you've got to make yourself look stupid at times. It's called the P.T. Barnum theory. You've got to do whatever it takes to sell the show. That's his job. You can't be like, oh well, you know, I don't want to sell the show because I don't want to look stupid like Eddie. That don't work. Like you see, Don King.
I was
right?
thinking of him.
Don King was told to style his hair so it stood up. It didn't always look like
Serious?
that. Yeah, the guy told him, style your hair so you stand out.
Yeah, if you watch a Don King movie, that it shows that when they said there, like when they spiked it up and it looks
Oh, I
like
didn't know that.
electrocuted.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a joke. You know what I mean? It's not a joke.
Yeah,
And,
Frank Maloney wearing the Union Jack suit.
There you
know?
go. There you go. There you go.
He wears dresses now, innit?
Yeah, but I'm saying when he was promoting boxing, he was wearing the Union Jack suits.
Oh, it was a late transition. Oh, okay, soz.
Yeah, but Don King, you know, waving the flags only in America. You know, you've got to be big and bold. Even Frank Warren, I know he's more conservative with it, but when he does get in front of the camera, you know, he gives you the shoulders, he gives you the,
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
charismatic.
stab him, and he starts going in. And even so, now he's getting a bit older. He'll just throw a man like Dev Sani out there to do it for him now.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's all about. If you can't sell the show, then what? Well, why would I go to you to promote me? You know? I want to go to the guy who's not scared to make himself look silly. That's what I want to go to. You know what I mean? But you know, each to his own. Each to his own. You know, like a lot of the fighters over there are basically in anonymity. You've got really talented, like you look at Lauren Price. Look at some of Lauren Price's performances.
Yeah.
Tell me she deserves to be with a promoter like that.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not fair. What's
And
happened to
Caroline.
What's happened to Caroline?
That well.
Inactive. The last time I saw both of them, what was it? When me and you base was at the Royal Albert Hall, right?
That was. Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Not good. Not good.
But what's your take on the actual fight, though? The British title fight, though, itself as a fight?
My take, Danny, is Fraser Clark has serious psychological issues.
Pardon?
Why?
Serious, because he look, if you're going through a 10-week training camp, right?
Mm.
You're not going to get tired after 6 minutes. I don't believe that. There's just no way. No way you're going to get tired after 6 minutes. It's got to be something up there, yeah? Because everyone's saying, oh, he blew himself up. He threw punches for a few minutes. So what? Right? It's up there, man. And some of it could be attributed to what happened to Fabio. He's come back too quick at too high a level. He probably needed, like, blowing away Tete probably doesn't get rid of that psychological carryover. He probably needed a few more before he started going up to British title level. Probably needed a few more. You know what I mean? Because he was in charge. I said, Fraser looks good, man. He was pushing my guy up and punching, and he was looking good. He looked assertive, and something clicked up. Because it's not like he got hit with a big shot, and then the fight turned around. He just switched off. He stopped using the jab. He was using the jab really, and then he just stopped using it. He's got to go and address what he needs to address. He can't retire like that. There's no way he can retire. You know what I mean? Because he hasn't fulfilled nowhere near what he was supposed to as an Olympic bronze medalist. If you go and look at Fraser's amateur record, he's fought everybody.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't retire. He's got to come back. But how he goes about it, I don't know. Jamie is the total opposite. He is the pillar of mental strength, because you can see by the body he's not shredded, right? He doesn't have a particularly fast jab. He's not a lead puncher or anything like that. But mentally, he's very tough, because he himself, we've got to remember, when he lost to David Adelaide, he was on the floor and he was hurt pretty bad. So you think, well, maybe he hasn't recovered from that, but no, he just went straight in, all business, and won the title. Like the Cinderella man, basically. He wasn't supposed to win the title.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be champion, but he is.
Yeah. But I will say that I do think that Jamie TKV does have a fast, crisp jab.
I think he's good. Yeah, he's got a good jab. And good feints as well, because he'll go like he's going to hit you to the head, but then he goes down to the body and switches it up quite good. I like his jab. I've always said that.
Level changes.
He did use the jab better against Adelaide than he did against but that's because Fraser didn't use his. He didn't need to use it. He just started. He hit him with that right uppercut so many times. It was ridiculous.
What Face was saying, yeah.
Yeah, he did it like it was a closing down sale going on.
Yeah. And like Angel Fernandez, I can't blame him. It's like Fraser's 270. He's got huge legs. He's because he's not one of them 270 guys who had to push weights to get there. He's just a big, naturally big dude. He should be making way more of his physical gifts than he is, and that's got to be something up there. It's got to be something up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But maybe just because you can be naturally big, but it doesn't mean you're naturally strong. And also, your diet is also a key factor. You know, if you're not eating yam and banana and that, and you're on the egg and chips, you're not going to be as strong as you need to be. Do you know what I mean?
So what are you saying? Fraser's eating the
He doesn't strike me as a yam and banana kind of guy.
That might be a bit too aggressive or food for him, you know.
Yeah. He needs to go fix that up, innit?
That might be thug food, you know.
Thug food, yeah.
So,
get Auntie Red to go around there, cook him up some food.
Yeah.
It's sad because everybody likes the dude, right? And let's get it right. Ben Shalom and the BBC wanted Fraser Clark to win.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a business. It's a business. He's the more marketable guy, and it's tough for Ben because there's not really much more franchise players than that. Because Fraser is in rehabilitation now. I don't know if he gets through it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we'll move on to the second show because there was only two shows to really talk about. October Red, he was in Birmingham. Was it in the World Resorts?
It was near it, but it was in
NEC.
Yeah, the NEC. That's it.
Oh, okay, the original place. Okay.
My town, I don't even know where it was. Yeah, it was over there somewhere.
Down Dessau. So it was in the NEC arena. You had Ben Shalom, Ben Whitaker, new signing to the zone, fighting Benjamin Bavazi. So you was on site. So let us know and the people know. What was it like inside the NEC arena? What was the atmosphere like? Us being in there during the build up, and then when it comes to the main event, and then talk us through the whole sequence of events while she was there, please.
Yeah, good presser. I was there at the presser. It's to me that I didn't know who this Gavazi was, which was always like, who is he? So whatever. I'm not a purist. I'm not a pugilist. I didn't know who he was. So I presumed that obviously they'd bought someone in, the Mike Tyson effect, credible records, to look good on paper for him to obviously go and do the job on. The kid was really happy to be there. On the evening, I will say that the space filled up quickly. As you know, in the beginning, unless it's like a Misfits fights where there's like 5,000 kids, it's not going to fill up straight away. But it did fill up reasonably quickly, as obviously you had Aaron Bowen that sold like, what was it, 700 tickets or whatever. So a great ticket seller. It was a, an intimate venue, not small, but intimate. Um, Ben, obviously, as he likes to put on a show with his walkout. He's a showman. Brought out Dizzy Rascal. Everyone just went absolutely wild, as you know, for the ring walks. You could see the nervousness kicking in with his opponent, like, yikes, here we go. And it just didn't take long for him to get settled in. His punch selection was great. He looked sharp. He looked strong. He looked nice on his feet as well, which he does. I saw that he was a little bit tempted to potentially do a little bit of showboating, but he never. He pulled himself back, locked in, and then just got his opponent out of there. Round one, knocked him down early, and then just finished him. Geezers on his back. Didn't even know what day it was, and that's all she wrote. What I will say is that Ben seems to have changed his tune a little bit. I don't know if he's had a little bit of a media training, a whisper in his ear, because I did mention to Eddie, look, what's next for him? He's a silver medalist. The usual spiel that everyone's been saying. When is he going to have these kind of more challenging fights? And basically, Eddie said, we're going to manage him. We're going to manage him and let him develop the way we want him to, develop. And we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes next. I mean, congratulations to him. Commiserations that his house gets burgled while he's winning his WBC silver, which, whatever, just get them indoor cameras in. And but yeah, on to the next with him. But even when you ask him, I remember when I interviewed him before his debut, he's like, yeah, I want Dan Aziz. I'm ready for that now. And that passion for him to, it was just, it's been toned down. It's like, yeah, I'm going to take a mature approach. I'm focusing on me. I'm going to whatever, leave it to my team, blah, 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 and see what happens with him after that. So yeah, it was what was expected. He can knock people out. He's knocked people down before. I think he suits Andy Lee. Good for him. He's gone there now. He's away from home, away from his creature comforts. His brother still does his S&C. So yeah, good for him. Onwards and upwards. But I definitely want to see a challenge, and I'm going to see if the promotional companies are going to fold to what the public are saying, or they're going to continuously give him these potentially easier fights to build his record. Even though Eddie said that, look, the Richards, the Aziz, the this, the that is potentially one more fight away. Take him out to America, bring him back, and then it's going to be showtime. So we'll see what happens there.
Base. Well, whilst I was watching the post-fight interview of Jamie TKV in the ring during the watch along, you switched over to DAZN and caught all of the fight before I had a chance to actually see even the final shot. So yeah, talk us through how you saw. Did you manage to see the ring entrance? I'm sure you did see the ring entrance and all that as well. But
No, I actually didn't. I had to go back and watch it earlier on today. The part I saw was just after he had his name announced and they was taking off the rope, and then going into the middle to get the pre-fight instructions. So yeah, I literally switched over at just the right moment, and it was what it needed to be. I didn't have any sort of preconceived notions of what was going to take place. Like, yes, I thought Ben would win. Yes, I thought he'd score a knockout. I didn't care if he scored a knockout in the first round or the 11th or the 12th. It's just I wasn't sure if what the fight was supposed to be, like whether it was supposed to be the quote unquote coming out party for DAZN, or if it was supposed to be, all right, he's been out of the ring for a while, let's get in some rounds now, and then in the next fight, that's where we're going to sort of maybe step up and look for something more like something a bit more credible or a bit more well known to this to the audience before sort of using the last two fights of the year in 2026 to be like the bigger fights. But I mean, look, Ben was definitely on a I'm not getting paid for overtime flex. He was definitely on his Silver Surfer flex, like no mercy, like the I'm the herald, the maker is coming and the inevitable is here. You might as well just I might as well take you out of your misery now. That's literally the way he performed. Um, there's a couple moments where it looked like maybe he wanted to not even so much showboat, but just just do a little something just to show that
Yeah.
I am a level above you, and he did to a degree, but he kept it very sort of composed, very mature, and that was something that I was gonna wonder about sort of Ben in terms of his career moving forward, because one of the things that people keep saying at the moment is that he's 28 now, got to kind of get a move on and whatnot. Now, it's a question that would be good to ask him at some point, how he's gonna or how he feels about trying to strike that balance between still having that youthful exuberance that he clearly still has, but then trying to balance that with the fact that you're about to be 30 soon, and that's when people expect you to, like, quote unquote, be a man and do sort of things that a man does. And the showboating and stuff is like that's when you're younger. That's when you kind of have that sort of that energy. But when you sort of quiet down, is he still going to be that way? Now, he's got the type of character, it feels like it would always be difficult for him to not be like the life of the party, or the guy that's just got the energy. But it looked like he was almost transitioning into that grown man in the ring over the weekend, and I've really thought that was something special outside of the fight itself. The punch placements, the way he was moving, like obviously the urge to not necessarily take the piss out of his opponent too much, apart from a couple of slick movements where he just made him miss and made him pay. The jab was brilliant. Sometimes triples, doubles, head body head, or body head body. Throwing, even sort of getting to the right hand. Sometimes throwing the right hand to not even. I don't even think he was throwing it to land. I think there was a couple moments he was throwing it just to prove that at any moment in time, like I can land this. So like what are you gonna do next? Almost like just trying to see what the tell would be from Gavazi. And unfortunately, while Gavazi he was game, he did try. The fact that he tried is what got him opened up in the first place. The nasty body shots which led to the very first knockdown, with that left hook to the body, right to the ribs, which backed him up, and then got to sort of the combo that came in afterwards, the little over the top shot. And Gavazi got up. He thought, okay, while you still think to yourself, yeah, probably it's not going to go too much longer. He was still clear headed, so you figured, okay, well maybe it would be a little bit more seasoning up, a little bit more tenderizing, maybe take him out 2 or 3 rounds later. But again, as Ben said, like no overtime. He said he was gonna turn him into a German doner kebab, and that's pretty much what he did. The way he split that skin, it looked like kebab meat slices. The way that skin opened up after that last punch. It was just that brilliant left hook to the big right hook. The way that he dropped it was it was an insane punch. It's definitely going to be in contention for knockout of the year. I know recency bias may have a lot of people looking at it more favorable than some others. When my video comes out in a few weeks time, I'm going to remind people of some of the really really nasty ones from this year. But brilliant performance. Yes, it was against someone that was like many levels below, or at least a couple. But I guess when you have that, the only thing you can do is just take them out in the first or the second round. So you just show, okay, yeah, cool, they weren't on my level, but this is what happens when you're not. So the same thing that happened with Jaron Ennis in his fight, whether people thought Lima was a tough opponent or not, when the level's that low, you just got to do what you got to do. He did it, no overtime. People got to go home early, probably got to go to the pub before they closed. So I'm sure they were pretty happy. congrats to Ben. You know, obviously really good post fight interview as well. I just think he's him and his you know he's a really good guy. Like inside the ring, outside the ring, whether he has that villain persona by the people that don't necessarily like the showboating or whatnot. Um, yeah, he is. You can tell that he's a humble guy from humble beginnings, as much as he might be a little bit fly and flashy at times. Yeah, comes from good stock. Good family unit. Good mum, good dad. Like, congrats to him, and let's see what he does and see where they bring him out. It would have been interesting for them to bring him onto maybe a show next month or something, just as an additional, get him out again because it was one round. But I know they said he's gonna be out again in February, so yeah, wait and see. I've already got my ideas of who they're probably gonna match him with if they do go to America, but talk about that afterwards.
Interesting.
Yes, so shout out Aaron Daly, much appreciated for the super chat. He says all my favorite YouTubers all in one place, so much appreciated, man. So yeah, Beats. I'm sure you saw the fight. Let us know what your take on the fight of Ben Whitaker and on his development. What did you think of the performance?
The thing is, is like showboating is just as a legitimate part of a fighter's arsenal as conventional boxing, because it's instinctive. If it's not instinctive to you, you won't do it, right? Boxing is about trying to con your opponent. I mean, like, you've got to psychologically outthink them. You can't just go into like a caveman. And a lot of times we see people showboating and they think, oh, you're just really flashy. No, they're just as nervous as the other guy. But you know what I mean? You've got to mask it. There's different ways to mask it. Showboating is one way to mask it. And I don't think a lot of people in Britain have caught on to it. That it's just a part of boxing. It's a part of boxing. And if you're good at it, yes, it can help you stand out amongst your peers. But I don't have no issue with him showboating as long as he's producing. The only thing, if I was Andy Lee, I'd be concerned: are you goofing off training? You eating like processed foods and junk food in between? If you're doing that, then it's a bother. But let him showboat. He's a young dude boxing in his prime, right? The way it is for someone like Ben Whitaker, he sees things that other fighters don't see. So he can't just box like a regular dude. It just wouldn't work for him. It just wouldn't work. It's like telling Roy Jones not to showboat. You know what I mean? Like the time he put his hands behind his back and knocked out Glenn Kelly. You're like, well, how did you do that? Because he's Roy Jones. You know what I mean? It's all about the individual. Nassim Hamid used to do it. The press used to go crazy when he used to showboat. But Nassim, like, he had them thunderbolts in his hand. And listen, if Bren's producing knockouts like that, they can say what they want. Because at the end of the day, we're not going in the ring. It's up to the boxer to go in there, produce the results, win the world titles, and win the fights. And while he's doing that, you either pay for it or you don't. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. The boxers take all. When it goes bad for the boxer, they have to take all the liability and the stick from everybody. So when it goes well, let them do what they're doing. That's the way I see it. And that performance was flawless. It was flawless.
Yeah.
Speed for a guy that size. You don't see that. You really he's about 6'3", isn't it?
Yeah.
His hand-eye coordination is stupid.
Yeah, he's quite tall actually. Yeah, 6'3" or 6'4", isn't he?
Yeah. Have hands that fast at that height there. It's crazy. Like, not being funny. At times he did look a bit like Tommy Hearns in there. That version what I saw on Saturday, and I'm not saying he beat anyone incredible because he didn't. But just on the eye test, you're thinking, whoa. His focus looked different when he come to the ring and everything. So far so good. Obviously we need to see the more serious tests, but I don't think no one at British level can live with him. I saw that kid sparring a long time ago against Felix Cash, right? And at the time Felix Cash was quite useful. And I know it's a different. He made Felix look stupid. Absolutely. I was like, what's going on? He was playing with him like a kid, literally.
Yeah, there was a reason why he did that to him and posted it up. He told me, but yeah, that was that. It was an impressive display of boxing there. What he did with Felix Cash.
So we'll see. It's still early days. He's only had 11 fights. We don't know if he can take one on the chin. We don't know if he can fight inside. We don't know a lot of stuff. But there's a lot more people going to get knocked out. I tell you that now. And they're gonna, if Andy Lee's teaching him to fight like that, there's a few more people who are going to get knocked out. I'm telling you. Because people are saying it's only Gavazi. Let me tell you this now. He can do that to a lot of domestic fighters out there. He can do exactly what he did there to a lot of them. Put them on the canvas and take them out.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. Um, yeah, so obviously I watched it. And as you said, the first thing that when I was studying it, because there wasn't much of it to study, but what I did study is been Andy Lee's definitely been making him watch tapes of Thomas Hearns. They've been using that Kronk style, which you know Andy Lee is a great trainer for him to teach him that style because he's lived through that gym himself, being in the gymnasium, being in the, you know, being taught by Emmanuel Stewart and the guys in that gym rather than just doing film study or eye tests. So when I saw Ben Whittaker, the way he was doing that step feint, like
Yeah.
even the way he was arching his body was very Thomas Hearns like. Because even the first thing Gavazi did is did a jab to the body. Ben smiled, stepped back, and you can even see when he's bracing him and doing the arm control, it's very Hearns like. So I can definitely see he was been studying tape. Him and Andy Lee have been going through it, and he looked very impressive. As Gavazi tried to attack him, he whipped him one to the head, one to the body, and then obviously he whipped a couple of hooks over, and he went down. And then you saw him do that, like calm down tell the crowd calm down. That was his little moment of showboating because he probably didn't have enough time to get really into the flair of things. And then yeah, wiped him out with a couple of smashing hooks, and down went Gavazi. And yeah, I thought that was very impressive. His development looks like it's coming on very well. The entrance looked very good. You know, you got Dizzy Rascal. I know we saw 50 Cent the other week, so that one can't be top. But if you're talking about British, you have Dizzy Rascal coming out in an Averex jacket, very nostalgic. You know, good entrance music. He looked very, and even the shorts, the gloves, the robe, it looked very American-esque. Like you can definitely see he's going to be marketed very well. And another thing I noticed is that, and I was saying that usually British fighters, when they're fighting for like WBC trinket belts or even the real version, they don't normally wear the WBC t-shirt and hat. That's normally a thing I noticed they do out in the Americas to the fight. Straight away, they slap the hat on, they slap the t-shirt on. But with Ben Whittaker, is that they must have sent a representative over from the WBC. Straight away, bam, the hat, the t-shirt, and he's parading it around. So it looked like he was watching a show in America.
That's Eddie Hearn.
But yeah, and he's done.
That's Eddie Hearn.
Yep, and Eddie Hearn, you know, even the post-fight interview in the ring, Eddie Hearn, you know, really doing the Eddie salesman, fast car Eddie, and Ben Whittaker's there standing there rubbing his chin, nodding, thinking, this is what I've wanted all along. Remember this promo video? I don't think people are looking out for me, and he's getting that promo he's always wanted. He's wanted someone to boost him like to the masses, to the rafters, and Eddie Hearn was doing just that. So yeah, I think it was an excellent performance. Those people saying, "Oh, the guy was just you know, Gavazi." I know he's Albanian descent, German, whatever. Yeah, but that's what you're gonna type of opponent you're gonna have on your promotion debut. And he's wiped him out in one round. And the thing is, you probably put Gavazi in with other fighters, they probably wouldn't have wiped him out in one round. But you know, it's I thought it was a great display and a great post-fight interview in the ring. I thought it was a good show. One thing, yeah. So we'll move on to the next subject of what do you see Ben Whittaker doing next I know that they're saying he's going to have a fight in America early next year, and then spring, another one in spring or something like that. Um, Actually, I'll go first because what's winding me up is I noticed they keep throwing these names out.
Yeah, we get the names are going to get thrown out, Danny.
No, no, no. But what it is that even when so I like Ben Whitaker's response to it, because what the media and outlets are doing, they keep saying, they're looking at the winner of Dan Aziz and Craig
Yeah.
Richards, the winner of Ezra Taylor and Willie
Yep.
Hutchinson. I'm thinking, okay, he's had 11 fights. When did these guys become food serving platters for Ben Whitaker all of a sudden? And then yet, what I noticed is they don't mention, obviously I wouldn't expect them to mention Callum Smith, so bar him. But they say, maybe Buatsi Yard, but then actually take a step down, and then we'll go with like Dan Aziz, Craig Richards. Like, where is this based on? Where is this all coming from? Like, because it's like I don't know. It just seems a bit disrespectful the way the media are doing that.
Which media?
It's loads of them. It's loads of them. I can't even
Um,
name you. It's one in particular. And when Ben Whitaker got asked that question, he said a good response. And because I don't think Eddie or Ben is looking at a Craig or Dan Aziz, even though Ben did say he thinks he can take Dan Aziz
mhm.
after 10 fights. But Eddie Hearn said we've got to be very careful with him.
Yeah.
We can't make it go wrong. We've got to do things correctly. Ben Whitaker said that these guys are calling me out because they want me now, but I'm here developing my craft. I'm going my own lane because when I do develop my craft, it's going to be game over. So he's not looking at these guys, but maybe someone's told him that people are calling him out. Well, British fighters, I should say, because we know one American fighter did, but we're talking about the British guys. No British guys have actually called him out, apart from that Gradus Kraus, who had a spectacular knockout on the
Mhm.
Dutch GBM show on the
Mhm.
same day. But where is this all coming from? What October? What do you think?
I asked Eddie about potential fights for him next, and the reason why I asked that because I remember when Galal turned pro as a medalist, Galal Yafai, beg your pardon, he went for the silver WBC as his debut in a 10 rounder. And I understand, yes, there's a discrepancy, it's different in weight, etc., etc. But I do think when you've got that Olympic pedigree, you should be pushed. The whole idea of Ben coming to Matchroom, and I said it was suited, and I was one of the advocates for it, if you want to look at it like that, is that they don't believe that he was matched correctly, maybe because the A fighters were overpaid, they didn't really have the money for the opponents, etc., etc. But now he's here, and like you said, on his debut, he's expected to have someone that is not on his level. But there's a lot of British fighters. You talk about, oh, I'm going to go this way, or I'm going to go that way, or I'm on my own path, or whatever. What we don't want is, and I know that obviously Eddie Hearn won't do this, is somebody that like does his bits, fights whoever, misses out the British guys that we've got because we've got some serious talent in this country, and then they're potentially going for really really high level fights. We've got some beautiful light heavyweights in the UK. He's a silver Olympic medalist. He's now got the silver WBC belt. Let's have some fun with the Brits because they're there, and there's lots and lots of fights for him to mix it up with, and they will be real solid, strong tests because we're strong in this country for light heavyweights.
Mm.
When it comes to different levels of the British fighters, I'll leave that to the experts. I just see the British fighters in like this bubble. You could say you've got the new ones coming through, not new ones, but the likes of Ezra Taylor is maybe, you can
Yeah,
sort
you
of,
know the newer ones, the newer editions.
yeah. But yeah, I think people asking for him to fight, get into a interesting fight. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's what we do. We can't have one rule for one fighter and not for the other. Look what I said when Richard Riakporhe was fighting my man. I says, what the hell are you doing? And everyone knows that, I've always sided with Richard and it's Richard this, Richard that. But I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, you shouldn't, oh, yeah, that's a great fight. No, it's not. Challenge yourself. That's what you're here for, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I do think it should be done one step at a time. You know, you should learn to walk before you can run because, as we know, I think the Brits have a habit of trying to fast track people, but in order to bring them down a peg or two, they want to see a car crash.
I don't think there will be a car crash with him. I think he's skilled. I've already said that. I believe that he is skilled. So I don't think there will be a car crash. I think there's fighters that he can fight and be successful in those fights and be able to mix it up when you fight someone, then you fight someone with the same record but not necessarily that known fighter. Mix it up, get the experience and build that way. And to be fair, I do believe that's what Eddie's going to do with him. I do. I don't think he's going to hold him back. But
Okay.
we're going to ask the questions. We are going to ask the questions. We can't nail onto one fighter and then just like they're another fighter. If we're asking questions, we have to ask the same of every fighter. We've got to treat them all the same. He's an Olympic medalist.
Mm. Base. So
You
I
might
know.
not agree with me, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, everyone's entitled to an opinion. I don't fully agree with it, but I can understand
Mhm.
what you're saying.
I want to challenge 2 points that have been said in that last bit by both
Yeah,
October and yourself, Danny. Um, so with regard to when they're saying, okay, I guess who picked the levels or whatnot, and they're saying like that Craig and Dan is kind of that maybe that level below the Yards and the Boatsis and the Callum Smiths. Now, I would definitely say at current point they can be considered the level below Callum Smith. I think that there's an argument, a very very credible argument to say that they are or that Anthony Yard is actually on their level, possibly even below. Again, we don't know where he
we
sits
don't.
because of his his actual
Yeah, I
streak
agree.
in his history, but if the media who is obviously who we're talking about are saying, well, yeah, no, you don't really want to go for the Boatsis and the Yards just yet, but maybe a Craig and a Dan. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we're not talking about skill, but level wise, or at least perception, they are below because Boatsi has beat both of them. So he has to be a level above on just on that in that alone. Again, I don't agree with the Yard part, but the Boatsi and the Smith part, I can say, okay, yeah, it's sensible if they say he they're a bit too high for now, but the others should be okay. As you said, he's an Olympic silver medalist,
Yeah,
so he's supposed to be able, in theory,
in
to
theory.
challenge or beat those guys for him to be what everyone
Yeah,
proclaims him to be. Whether he can or he can't is a different story, but
mhm,
in theory, he's supposed to have his name talked about with them now.
correct,
So I don't really find that as a disrespect in
correct.
that sense. They might, but I don't. With regard to what you said, Red, I
Mm.
understand your point regarding the British fighters, but in that same vein, a lot of the time we have this thing, and I know you've said many times, you are biased towards the Brits and you're quite happy with that. But it's like, who said or who told us that our fighters are the best ones? Like who said that that there isn't fighters in Uzbekistan or Canada or America or like Russia that are just as good, and he
But we
can't
just don't know him.
one of those type of people.
I hear
It's
it.
like, look, but the point I'm making is, look, we can tell when someone's fighting like a Slovakian cab driver. It's quite obvious. You can kind of see that.
Yeah.
But there's many times where in a lot of the divisions, and I heard it on there was a show. I can't remember whose show it was. It might have been the new show with Sonny K and Darren. What's his name?
Parker.
Darren Barker, yeah, and they were saying something about, like, yeah, Gavazi, he never really left his country, so how good was he? And it's
Yeah.
like you say that, bearing in mind that the majority of the Brits have never left the UK,
True.
so
True.
how do we know that they're any good in that sense? So I just find the double standard with that is
Yeah.
crazy. Yes, I admit there are people that just got that little padded up record, but just to say that, oh, well, we've got the best and you have to fight our people because we know them. I just find that logic very flawed, in general.
I
In
hear
terms
it.
of who he should fight next, or who I believe he's going to fight next, if I put my assessment hat on, there's a guy in America at the moment, light heavyweight, American. He's about the same age as Ben. He's about 28. I think he's 18. I think he's like 18-1 or
Puerto
8,
Rican.
and his name's Lawrence King.
Oh.
Same dimensions. He's from the West Coast. I believe that the next fight that they will probably look to get Ben on will be one of the West Coast shows. It to me lines up that would be who they kind of put him in with next, and it will be a similar. He's probably better than Gavazi, but like not by a huge amount. But it could be the opportunity to get the same, the same moment, the viral moment in the States, as opposed to like over here that's gone viral, but then over there to a slightly higher audience. So I think that's kind of the way they might go. I wouldn't be surprised if they then even maybe looked at someone like a poor Rick McCory, because obviously Craig fought him, and you also had what's his name,
Edgar Berlanga.
Balango. Yeah, he also had him fight him, so you could have common opponents with sort of those type of guys as well. But if I'm going to be honest, you know who I'd like him to fight next?
Khalil Cole.
No, that's down the line for me. I mean, I like Khalil. I think Khalil beats him currently, personally. But that's
Nadi Lopez.
no. Again, that fight is probably more risky than they would do now because he's not known.
Louis
I wouldn't be
Edmondson.
surprised if they then try and put him in next with someone like Conor Wallace, and I wouldn't mind to see that fight.
Oh, I haven't heard that name for ages. He's
Yeah, you know,
Australian, isn't he now? He's Irish,
yeah,
but he's Australian, right?
yeah, Northern Ireland, based in Australia. One of the Tasman fighters. You can do the
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
connection. He said he wants to fight the UK and fight the UK guys. He wants to fight in America. He'll get that side of the world sort of talking about it, because obviously that's where he's kind of based at the moment. You got Ben. You have the both of them fighting on a. You can have them fighting on the US show undercard to like one of the, like a Bam or a Pacheco or someone like that. He might even end up on the undercard of Shakur and Tio, for instance. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have something like that. But that's a fight that I would like to see. That's a credible step up from a Gavazi. Then from there you build into the next one. Then you build into the fight that takes you to like maybe either a final eliminator or an eliminator to get a world title shot the fight after. That's how I would kind of do it. Obviously, I don't mind if he fights like a Louis Edmondson or a Hutchinson. Ezra Taylor, I think would be. I know Ezra's wanted that fight from day dot. I think that would be a really good fight between the two. Um, whether it ends up being Craig or Dan or Joshua or any of the others that we have over here, no issue, no problem. I just don't necessarily want to have the narrative that, oh, well, this guy's never fought outside his country, so how do we know he's any good, when that same criticism can be levied to our guys as well.
Yeah, or Lyndon as
Looking
well,
at the
because he hasn't
ranking,
been mentioned.
I'm looking
Yeah,
at
Lyndon as well.
I'm looking at the light heavyweights. It's very British dominant. So I think what I will say to base comment is my ignorance in not looking at fighters outside the country and seeing the plethora of talent that I think that we've got in the UK, which is why I said it.
Yeah. So Beats, what avenue and route would you like to see Ben going, and where do you think Eddie will take him?
I think a lot of it depends on Andy Lee, doesn't it? Like, I think Andy
You're
Lee.
very faint, Beats.
You have to turn the mic up.
What's happened to my mic now? Can you hear me?
No,
It's
you're
very faint.
very far away.
That's great. Fix the settings. Sorry about that.
Might have your hands free on, I think.
Oh, one sec. One sec. Can you hear me better now?
A bit better.
What about now?
Yeah, I mean we can hear you enough.
Okay, yeah. I think a lot of it is down to Andy Lee, really. Like, Eddie will be consulting with Andy Lee, like how are they progressing with the training, how they're developing. They'll be looking at the opponents, and um, they're going to obviously they're going to be pressured to fight the British guys because that's where the familiarity is, and that's when you're going to start building up your fan base. So Lyndon Arthur, I think he gets rid of the likes of Zach Parker would be good because Zach can say, yeah, I beat Boatsen last time, I just didn't make the decision. But that's easy work for Ben Whittaker, Zach Parker. It's easy work. That'd be a good fight. I think they should go for Zach because a lot of people, Zach could probably give him a tough fight or maybe beat him because he's more experienced and blah blah. So they should play on that. They should play on the fact that Frank thinks a lot of the Queensbury guys can beat Ben.
True.
Ben is fragile. He when he gets hot, he's gonna crack. Yeah. Just select the opponent. I think Zach Parker would be really good. Lyndon Arthur could be a tough fight. Would be a tough fight. Would be a very tough fight. But I'd expect Ben to beat him at this stage.
Yeah.
And it's a business base, so like we're not going to ask, if are our guys better than some Albanian guys because we don't know who they are. So
You're gonna again, Beats.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah. And no, Beats, just to clarify, I wasn't saying that about who's who. It's just that when you say, they've never fought outside their country, so they're probably not that good, which is the narrative that was obviously portrayed. The point I was making is a lot of ours haven't fought outside ours or fought people outside. So it's a bit of a hypocritical take to make. That's the only point I was making.
Yeah. Well, the British guys we don't really need to fight outside because we have
We've got a lot of talent.
Territory in the UK. Yeah, and there's a lot of talent. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. But there is a lot of talent outside as well. For instance, there's the Turkish guy Mehmet Unal from based out of Montreal in Canada who knocked out Ralph Vilkans in the first round. That was the Ralph Vilkans who went 10 rounds.
Oh, bloody hell.
No, I'm just saying it's the same Ralph Vilkans who went 10 rounds with Anthony Yard. You've got that Imam
Katayev,
who got that. And funny enough, Ben Whittaker styled on him very well in the amateurs. He styled on him very neatly there. I remember that. There's a better Albanian fighter, to be fair, called Alban Bermeta. There's a couple of Polish guys, German guys, American guys. So there is guys outside, but I do understand most British fans, they do want the familiar names on the come up because you're not just going to stick him straight in with Better Beeve and Bivol. But as Bay said, there are guys out there, like remember a few years ago, there was Maxim Vlasov, who people didn't know, but those in the boxing who watched this landscape properly know that Maxim Vlasov was probably number 4 in the world at one time. It was like, Better Beeve, Bivol, Kovalev, and Maxim Vlasov, and it was all 4 Russians in a row. Hence, I think someone maybe gave Boatsi some sound advice to maybe not reschedule that fight when he did pull out with an injury. So there's always those danger men. There's guys like that Elida Alvarez, the Colombian puncher from a few years ago as well. There's guys always on the landscape. You've got to be who are very good fighters, and you have to be wary of, and who do end up winning world titles and European titles and things like that. And there's Robin Krasniqi. I think that would be a good fight for Ben Whittaker because the British public know him, from many years ago, and he's still going strong. So yeah, I think there's quite a few routes. But in America, I know some people's thinking Galagos. I think that's a bit risky because of the way he fights. I think someone even though he did beat Galagos in the rematch, I think Khalil Cole would be more suited to Ben style-wise, which would make him look good. But yeah, there's guys, as you said, Base Lawrence King. There's that Dion Nicholson, who just he was meant to fight on that Ring 4 card, with against Better Beef, but that fight fell through. I still don't know exactly what happened there. They said that Better Beef's team pulled out, so there's guys like him as well. So yeah, Ben, he's got options. He's got very good options out there.
What they need to do is just keep him busy. Don't give the public time to do the matchmaking. Just keep him busy. You know, good variation of opponents, get the skill set up, and when it's time, Jennifer Belts, make it, you know. And you know, he's inevitably going to have to fight some top opposition. So there's nowhere to hide from him. Just keep him busy, and like, they need to really get him back out. I would say by March, no, February, February, get him back out by February.
Yeah, I think they will do in February. As he said, he wants to enjoy his pigs in blankets, so it'll take January to cut the weight down or whatever and get back in the gym, and then he should be probably out in February because one round blowout, you shouldn't really be taking 4 months for your next fight, in my opinion. Not when you're 28 years old.
To be honest, he should have gone out in December, and then he could have enjoyed Christmas and then gone out again in March.
That's what Bay said. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have stuck him in a. Yeah. You're right. You're right. But it's all about the budget, innit? You don't know what budget they've got left for the year.
I'm sure DAZN will find extra money for him for more viral moments and more reasons for people to subscribe to the platform.
Oh yeah, to get that ultimate package. So yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we did mention Gradus Kraus, Khalil Cole, and these are names that we did pull up, guys. For those that have just joined in the chat, good evening to you.
Yeah. So anything else guys want to talk about?
No, not from that, no.
Not from that specifically. Some good fights on the undercard overall.
Yes.
The only other thing that I guess to talk about, and I will say, well, you guys can obviously speak about it. I may have to jump off in a little bit, but Eddie Hearn and Ben Shalom now sort of renewing hostilities, with Ben looking like he wants to come out on the front foot this time as opposed to playing defense. Very interesting conversations. Frank Smith was obviously back in the mix as well with his extreme dislike of Ben Shalom. Yeah, I mean, they was very, very I'm not gonna say cordial, but they was keeping things just low key. But now, for whatever reason, that just seems to have exploded, and I think it's just around the fact of Ben not wanting to just own up to the fact that, all right, yeah, I'm trying to mess up you guys' shows. Like, cool, just be a like. No one's really asked him about it directly. I thought somebody would have, because it's definitely a talking point. How you just happen to have two shows and they just happen to be on, the two of the biggest shows of your rival promoters, exact same date, and it's the same, it's the same card, and then your second show just happens to be on the exact same date as another show that's, the same card. I mean, when you have alleged four shows for the year, which again no one's actually directly asked him, or he hasn't confirmed.
He hasn't confirmed
or not, but I think someone really needed to ask and hammer that question home and make him commit to an answer. But if that's the case and you've got 4 dates, what did you just happen to have 3 clashes in a row? Like, there has to be more to it. So, ultimately, if you're going to be on the front foot and all of that, and you've been in interviews saying that, the BBC obviously is the biggest platform in the UK, and watch like in a year or two when they become the biggest and everyone's going to see the play after I did it. Okay, well then, like, make your stance. I'm taking the eyes away from your shows so that people can see ours, or like, it's a competition, so ultimately I want to win the competition, whatever it may be. But for some reason, no one's asking. Now, is that because he's telling people they can't ask him about it before interviews? Don't know, but he's done it before, so that anything is in play. But I just, outside of the clashes, which are obviously very annoying, I do like the fact he's at least trying to be a bit more vocal, and he is, he's coming with some pretty good. I don't know if they're facts because I can't really fact check them, but I like that he's coming on the front foot. The only thing that I never really have taken to about Ben is always like the woe is me. I'm just like the lonely guy trying to make his way in the game and and all of that. Pity me stuff. Just like I think the one thing I agree with Eddie, like just grow a backbone. If you want to talk now, don't throw stones and then like hide your hands afterwards like it wasn't me. No, throw the stone and tell man I hope it claps you in the side of your head. Like be about it if that's what you want to do. Don't be half in and half out with the slip talking and the and the side and the speaking out the side.
I think,
So other
yeah.
than that, like I'm all for it. Obviously, I know that IFL and all the rest of them channels there are having wet dreams now that they get another feud and the beef that they can get some views off of again. But um, yeah, ultimately that's kind of my thought on it. Just be about it. Say what you're saying. Like if you're doing shithousery, admit that you're doing shithousery and say, "I'm what? I got the biggest platform. What are you gonna do?" Like just like own it, rather than acting like you're the victim again, because you're not the victim here. You've quite clearly been the perpetrator of a few of these things that are happening. So it's not that everyone's now got mad things to say about you. You're doing things and then acting as if they're the ones that are, you know, they're the ones that are forcing you into these positions, which I just that's the one bit I can't respect.
Hmm. Yes. October. What's your thoughts on this back and forth antics? Where have you managed to speak? I don't know if you have behind the scenes of where this is now reignited from, and what's your thoughts on the comments made by
Um,
participants involved?
no, when Base, going back to what Base said, I think when he did try and stand his ground, I've just had like a flashback to Saudi where Frank Warren nearly pitched him off the stage. That's what I was laughing at in my head. So I know that he's he's tried to stand there and say ain't going anywhere, and then Frank Warren tried to lick him down off the stage. But yeah, that was just a flashback. Um, do I care about the back and forth? No, not really. That's I'll leave that for the other channels to do because, like you said, that's what does good for them. People like that beef. It's not really my interest. I haven't spoke to Ben Shalom for a very, very long time. And to answer probably Base's questions, there's a lot of things that would have been missed out from my conversation with Ben because there was so much to cover because he was literally missing in action for how many months. So it's like I never go in there with a script. So it's whatever I believe are the top topics that I want to speak to him about, and it's never scripted and it's off the cuff. I know that he has been asked about the 4 shows. It wasn't me, and he's politically answered that he's not going to answer it. So yeah, you're right. That could be a question that's probed. I think he's doing a lot more media. They've had 2 media days in the last 2 weeks. He had one fight week last week. He's had another one today, and he's still going at it. And then you've got obviously Frank Smith going at it, Eddie Hearn calling him moaning minge. Yeah, so it's whatever floats your boat. But I have hopefully got Frank Smith coming on this week and Ben Shalom this week on a online on a Zoom or whatever. So hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit of a catch up. And if there's any crossfire in it, there is. But I'll let them get on with it. I do agree with Base. Stand on what you said. Say, yeah, all right, then I'm taking you on head on. I think that's a brilliant idea. Willie, no, because Ben Shalom's sneaky with it. That's just the way he is. He's sneaky. He'll diss you and he'll do it. He'll let the work do it, and he won't actually say that that's his intention when it's obvious that it is. So let him run it. But to be competitive with the two giants that are Matchroom and Queensbury, you have to have the fighters. Now, for him to stand tall and for him to say, yep, this is the BBC, he's going to have to go around and nick a few fighters again because they do need names on that huge platform. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what his plans are. Yes, he has got fighters that are inactive that he could get out, but he's going to need someone, he's going to need a pivotal name to really start to push that competition hard. I do like the fact that he debuted BBC with the British title fight. I think that was brilliant. That was a good idea. It worked. because a lot of people were switching. I was one of them that was watching both of them, one eye on the ring, one eye on Clark and Takivi. So yeah, the competition is there, but he's going to need more than that. But he's showed that he's going to weather the storm. He's not going anywhere. So we'll see what happens. Fair play to all of them.
Yes, Beats. Have you managed to catch any of this back and forth? And what's your thoughts on this between Eddie and Ben and
Well,
Co?
there is no Eddie and Ben in terms of competition.
Mm.
There is no Eddie and Ben. You know, like Billy Nelson, he can't get Martin Bacoli a fight on Boxer. The last couple of fights Martin's had have been arranged by Turki Al Sheikh. Billy said that Ben told him that Martin will not be fighting on a Boxer card unless Turkey is producing the card. So Ben is out of his woefully out of his depth. He's no better than Izzy. There's loads of promoters better than him. The Wassermans are better promoters. They're more charismatic. They're way better. It's not only Caddy's got that party boy thing, which I think might scare people up a little. But
I'm not dying out though.
you know, I just like you can't get your fighters out, bro. And like he's supposed to unveil another platform that is going to accommodate the fighters who can't get fights. So him going back and forth with Eddie is his last ditch attempt to hang on to some type of relevancy. Look, they're putting me in the same conversation as Eddie. Yeah, that's just to get views for their channel. That's all that is. They don't take you serious. They don't take you serious. You could have set out a 3.5 arena with a British heavyweight title fight, man. Come on. You've got talents there like Martin Bacoli. Look, on his clock, right? On Ben Shalom's clock, Martin Bacoli took a fight with a world-ranked heavyweight with what? 1.5 days notice. And most of that was spent on a plane. Ben needs to sit down. He needs to sit down, son. It's a joke. He's the worst. I've watched boxing a long time in this country. He is by far the worst promoter by a country mile. It is what it is.
Beats talking. Oh man.
Absolutely horrible. A horrible promoter. How do you pull out on purse bids on the same? They had to get. Listen, his legacy is getting chucked off Sky. Sky, I haven't put on a boxing fight. They're scared to do boxing since he went. They're scared. They're literally scared to put Sky off boxing. How do you do that?
Lord Jesus.
Sky's been doing boxing since 1989.
Jesus.
That's when Mike Tyson beat Frank Bruno that year.
Right, there you go. Right. And they're scared to do boxing now. Because it's a shambles. It's an absolute shambles. A lot of people don't want to hear it said like that. Oh, Ben, listen. Ben keeps talking like he got it out of the mud. Somebody told me on the D.O. Benuli that his rich parents gave him the money, the startup money to do boxing. And he's he's basically a wannabe Eddie Hearn. Who put himself in a position, he's way out of his depth. He's got no business at all, promoting anyone who is world ranked who has potential. He should be doing the ultimate boxer tournaments because that's the level he's at. It is what it is. Sometimes people are not built for things, and that's him. That is him.
Well, he you know, I watched the interview he did with October, and he said that the way he was talking about is like he went into the relationship with Sky like Sky had just got out of a very abusive and bad relationship,
Yeah, that's how we put
and
it.
they're coming into and Ben's taking on that gal who's been scorned and done dirty by her ex-lover. So now she's coming with enough rules and regulations and stiff conditions if you want to get my love. So it's like Ben was fighting an uphill battle and he was to keep hold of Sky, and the deal he got from Sky was not like Frank Warren, Frank TV Network back in the day, and Eddie Hearn, and he got the raw deal. He got the broken woman version of Sky. And he's also saying people think that because of my last name that I've got all these privileges and stuff. But
Yeah, because I have said that about him online.
I know, but I'm just saying this is what he said. I'm just quoting what I saw
Mhm.
from your interview, and I do highly recommend people go to October Red Media and go and watch that interview in full. So what's your thoughts on those comments made by Ben? Things like that, Beats.
Lord Jesus, gonna get cooked.
Sorry, let me just quote something what he did, right? With the new British heavyweight champion, and Base knows the story, right? A few years ago, right, Jamie beat someone named Harry Armstrong
Yes.
on one of his cards, right?
Yep.
Armstrong comes up a loss and gets a lucrative fight with Johnny Fisher for the Southern Area title on a Matchroom card. What did they award Jamie with, who was 5-0? They
The
put
Mad
him in,
I've
Brazilian.
said this,
The Mad
but
Brazilian.
yeah,
yeah,
but you listen. I've said this about Jamie at the beginning, Beats. Before you jumped on, that is what I said about Jamie. He wasn't treated right. I've said that.
I told Jamie that. I saw Jamie in the end in the super. I said, Jamie, don't let them man go take you for a fool, bro. Seriously, I told him about the story. Don't let them take you for You had no business fighting someone who had double the amount of knockouts that you had fights. The only loss that guy had was to Kuzmin, who was world ranked, and he gave Kuzmin a tough fight.
That
right?
Brazilian brother.
Yeah, Sergei Kuzmin. Yeah.
Fight, he wasn't seasoned enough. Right? But you know why they put him in there? It was on the York to save their little stupid card with that Al Siesta guy. Right? And if you valued your prospect, you wouldn't have did that. Right? Let me tell you something, right? Moses' fifth fight, right, was with someone with a losing record. Johnny Fisher's fifth fight was with somebody with a losing record. You go pitch him in there to save your little bullcrap card in you because they didn't care about Jamie. They didn't care about it. Now Ben's taking. Now Ben wants to tell us, oh, Jamie's the best heavyweight out there. Well, if he was the best, he wouldn't have pitched him in with the guy with rocks in his fist when he was 5-0. Bullcrap. Bullcrap. Listen. I don't like Ben Shalom.
Yeah.
No shit.
I spoke to TKV about he remembers that conversation with you it was in the Tesco's or something like that.
Littles.
Yeah, one of them supermarkets. Yeah, he remembers the conversation with you. Yeah.
See, he remembers it. He remembers it. And
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. Jamie's a really good guy. He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, he's one of the. Yeah, he's one of the man. Them. He's good. He's cool.
And then he keeps saying that. Oh, they're trying to blackball me out there. How did you walk straight into a Sky gig? Inexperienced. If he thinks that's blackballing, listen. Frank Warren and Barry Hearn, when they started promoting in the 80s, they went up against the Syndicate. Syndicate had all the TV dates on BBC locked. They had the Royal Albert Hall, Wembley Arena. So that means you couldn't get in it because you can't make money if you can't get Wembley Arena or the Albert Hall or the BBC money because the BBC are funding your cards. You can't make money, right? Frank Warren and Barry Hearn probably got 4 dates out of 196 cards, right? That's how they could. If you want to talk about blackballed, he doesn't know what he's talking about. How is Frank Warren blackballed Ben or Eddie Hearn blackballed? You ballsed it up. You ballsed up the Sky contract. If Eddie Hearn Sky would still be in boxing today. Trust me. Am I lying?
No.
Right.
So
the man he's mediocre. He's mediocrity. It's best. At the best, mediocre.
So what do you feel? What do you think about like the comments where he says he feels he's overachieved because he's had a Sky deal, he's on the BBC, and he's been on Riyadh season. So for him, at his age, he feels he's overachieved.
If he was promoting in the 80s, he'd be serving Mickey Duff and Jarvis Astaire at tea, bro. That's how crap it is. Absolutely He's absolute mediocrity. He's like one of the worst products we've had in British boxing. Ben Shalom.
Oh, God, Beats.
Huh? Huh?
Truth is the truth. Truth is just the truth. Truth is
Yeah,
the truth.
Steve.
He
You know what I mean?
asked.
But what I will say is where I think that this animosity is spewed from
Yeah.
is on that sparring boxing thing at York Hall. Remember when was it Parsons or someone went up to Ben and Ben said he wants to get Frank Smith in the ring and he wants to, do him over and that in the
What
ring.
sparring thing?
There was that Box Raw sparring where Ellie Matthew was on it. It was part of that. It was the thing after the Eubank Jr. and Conor Ben weigh-in.
Oh, that's. Oh, that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they did that sparring thing, and Parsons was like, "Oh yeah, what do you think about it? As it look?" He goes, "Yeah, this is really exciting. I think me and Frank Smith. I like to get Frank
That
Smith in," and he called him out.
that is why today, when he's gone on the thing with Parsons, and this is some Carragher Brincon business, but it's there, isn't it? He says, "Oh, Eddie thinks he's cool walking around with a 23-year-old kid." That's he didn't say dick riding, but he said blah blah blah. So that's where that's come from then. Okay.
Okay.
So it's there, it's there. But you know what, B? I have to try and defend because I got to try and be neutral about the Shalom, and what he was saying, whether you agree with it or not, because like I said, the ins and outs are the ins and outs, and he was trying to say after like Eddie like made his money and then went off to the zone, like Sky might have been a little bit more, I don't know, lenient, is what he was trying to say that he was with Eddie Hearn, that sort of like had that free reign. But he said when he came in, he had like really strict, stringent rules, wasn't allowed to do certain things, which obviously the people that were there had told him that things were different initially. So he's trying to say, listen, I'm not saying he didn't fumble the bag because I'm not. But I'm just saying what he was saying is that it wasn't, all glitz and glamour at Sky Sports. But like you said,
But why,
it's one of them, isn't it? But that's
why
what
would it be glitz and glamour though when you've got no background as far as they're concerned? So obviously it's like when you start a new job, you don't get the freedom and the keys to the kingdom straight away. You have to earn it. Like when you're on probation, you can't be doing the same things after you pass probation. So
he
so
didn't
you have
pass
to.
probation, did he?
But that's the point. But it's like he's saying, oh, he had his hands tied or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you ain't been there for 15 years and built legacy. So
yeah.
of course you're not going to have the same free reign, or the perceived free reign that the people before you had. That's just common sense.
Sky threw him under the bus. They threw him under the bus, right? Because you can't come behind one of the most successful dad and son partnerships. Like you're talking like from the conception of Sky, 89, 90, the Hearn
Mm.
started. And then you're going to come behind Eddie Hearn. And then, like, they signed all people like Ben Whitaker, Fraser Clark, Lauren Price. They were all on their way to Matchroom. And they
Yeah.
broke the bank, gave him this guy. And, like, Ben it was too much for Ben. To be honest, right, I know I said a lot there, but it's too much for someone that young and inexperienced. It's too much. It's too much. You see, when Eddie was struggling, right, he could always go back to his old man. We could all go back to someone who came up with his old man, right?
Mm.
He didn't have that. He was basically stranded, right? You see boxing promotions, yeah? If you ain't got the old money or old contacts,
Old money. Mm.
you're done. You are done. You're literally done. It's an old boy network. It's like a mafia thing,
Mm.
boxing. Anything in America. If you don't have the old contacts, like whether that's from the media, um, you're finished now. You're finished. You're literally finished. So they really put him in like. Basically, he wanted the job though. He wanted it.
Yeah, he
He
did.
wanted. He wanted it.
He
You see,
did.
like the Wassermans now, if the Wassermans went into that position in 2021, right, they'd be able to go back to the old people who, is it Wilfred, Sound View. They could always
Yeah.
talk back to the old contacts and the old money. Ben it's too hard.
It was cold promo when they first started, though, Beats, because the very first Boxer show was boxed around Wasserman, because obviously Wasserman had Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know what happened on the first night, but it was a cold promo. They weren't given like the actual complete like Sky rights. They were going in there with Wasserman, and I think Ben said something about that in the interview. I know George says I can't be defending Ben. We have to have a balanced view on here.
Yeah, I know he also inherited the Hennessy Sports Fighters as well. But I remember even Eddie Hearn was saying that he feels that even top tier, that promoter's doing like he's a better promoter than Ben Shalom.
Johnny Clark.
Yeah.
Like you can't doctor the questions from the press. You can't do that. And you know what? From what I hear, a lot of the press that said we're not going to do that. We're going to ask you what we want to ask. You can't do that. You're just creating a noose for your neck, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen. You're the top guy, so you have to answer the queries when it goes wrong. You've got to be there on the spot. You've got to be there. And if you notice, Frank Warren or Eddie, they don't shy from that because you're not expected to shy from it. You can't be a victim and a boxing promoter. You've got to be one or the other.
Yeah, you got to get on cam. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he knows that now. Like I said, he's had 2 media days in 2 weeks. I'm trying to get him hopefully back on the channel this week. Who knows? He could be watching this. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've covered a lot. It's been a serious one. But yes, guys, please make sure that you subscribe if you have not already. You should by now be subscribed to Boxing Beats and Rhymes. If you want all that, great content, a true historian of boxing. He goes deep in the cellar, the archives, into the annals of history. So yeah, please make sure you subscribe to him and all that good stuff. He's on Twitex, as Base says as well, at Boxing Beats and Rhymes on Beats.
It's the Black Boxer.
Oh, the Black Boxer. Yep, the Black Boxer. Make sure you subscribe to the Base the Kid at the Hardcore Casual, October Red Media, Fight Fan TV Live. All the descriptions, all the handles will be in the description, etc., etc. And until next time, thank you for tuning in. Remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.